near the front right corner of the graduate seating area and wearing distinctive gold robes are members of the Corpus Cordis Aureum, or Golden Core of the Heart. Members of this group are Emory University alumni who have graduated 50 or more years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, the Corpus Cordis Aureum. March. please welcome the faculty of Emory University as they process down the center aisle. The faculty is wearing colorful academic gowns and hoods that represent the institutions from which they receive their highest degrees. Ladies and gentlemen, the faculty of Emory University.
Right. Quick. Mark.
The platform party is now approaching down the center aisle. The platform party is led by Professor Bobby Patterson, the Chief Marshal of the university. The platform party includes the trustees of the university in their gowns of office, the President's Leadership Council, the deans, distinguished university administrators, faculty and student award recipients, student ministers and vocalists, the honorary degree recipients, and the bedell of the university who is carrying the university's mace. President Claire E. Stirk, the 20th president of Emory University, marches at the end of the procession wearing the presidential regalia and the gold medallion of office. Ladies and gentlemen, the platform party.
Happy morning. And we have to say on this occasion, Madam President. These proceedings will now come to order. Please be seated.
Chairman Morgan, trustees, honorary degree recipients, students, parents, family members, friends of our graduates, faculty, staff, and everyone else. I am excited about the 172nd commencement at Emory University. We would not be here were it not for the class of 2017. Congratulations to all graduates. You completed all requirements, or you would not be here. You survived and flourished. Now it's time for your next step, for you to diverge from this beautiful, inspiring community, a community that has taught and challenged you, preparing you to stake out a path of your own. At this time, I invite you to stand, as you are able, for the playing of the national anthem by the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra Brass Quintet. An American flag flies from the pole in the center of the quadrangle. At its conclusion, you may be seated for the invocation delivered by Reverend Bridget Young-Ross, Dean of the Chapel and Spiritual Life.
First, I invite you into your own moment of silent reflection upon this occasion of celebration and this moment of grace. O God of light and life, we invoke your presence today, acknowledging that you are here in all of your creation. We also acknowledge shared values lived here in the Emory community, regardless of beliefs or practices. So we invoke the spirit of justice for those who are pushed to the margins. We invoke the spirit of grace, that we may be patient listeners and thoughtful speakers. We invoke the spirit of truth so that those with power include more voices in the sharing of that power. We invoke the spirit of equanimity so that we may bring calmness and strength in these times of discomfort and chaos. May these spirit-breathed graduates, and may we all embrace change, transform conflict, and even be instruments of joy and hope, that we leave here and each place better than we found it. Amen.
Class of 2017, you are my first graduating class as Emory's president. Our time together was brief, too brief, but it was long enough for me to connect with many of you, to learn about you, your commitment to challenge yourself and others, your accomplishments, your talent, your hopes for, and your expectations of the world. Your commitment to making sure we get it right. We may not always agree, actually, we do not always agree, but we certainly agree about wanting to get it right, no matter what the it is. We share a commitment to making the world a more equitable and fair place, a peaceful place. Celebrating your graduation today is a privilege. We do so with splendor and ceremony, with speeches and acknowledgments, with poetry and music. We are grateful for your commitment to sharing your talent and your compassion locally, nationally, and all over the world. I am confident that you will continue to do so as Emory alumni, as Emory's ambassadors. You have the knowledge, the skills, the character, and also the imagination and the social conscience to have a major impact. You are the leaders of the future. Together and individually, you will engage in lifelong learning. You will enjoy success. You will learn and grow from your failures. You will make significant contributions, especially in this world of rapid change, and one in which it sometimes feels like a world without a compass. It's not the first time in history that we confront complex and perhaps even chaotic and painful realities. Realities that question our courage, stamina, and wisdom. It won't be the last time either. But we are a compassionate community, a community focused on solutions to some of the world's greatest challenges. Society doesn't benefit from drawing artificial barriers between and among us. We benefit from bridges between individuals and nations. Places like Emory are invaluable. We are incubators for research, drivers of innovation, and builders of character. We have so much to offer the world based on our culture, a culture to which you have contributed, and thank you for that. A culture characterized by competition, collaboration, and compassion. Graduates, think back to when you first arrived at Emory. whether as an undergraduate, graduate, or professional student. The fact that you are graduating today demonstrates your talent. I mean, your talent in a broad sense, not just based on your grades, which is nice to have as well. Since your earlier days at Emory, you have moved from curiosity and probably some insecurity about what was ahead of you. I certainly would have felt that way the first day I arrived on this beautiful campus. But what you have done is you have fully immersed yourself in the knowledge, in the opportunities, the discoveries, and the values of Emory. As a university, we must remain committed to our values of compassion, inclusion, and integrity, and hold firm to serving humanity, which is at the heart of our mission. You made Emory a better place. I hope that Emory also made you better, far, far better. Now you have the responsibility to build on all you have learned, to contribute to the world, and to follow your own moral compass. I can imagine that right now you're focused on what you will be doing next. No matter what path you take, keep in mind that there will be many more steps after the path you're focused on right now, at this point in your life. Have confidence in yourself. You are prepared for the kind of critical questioning that comes from knowing the complexities of the past, the kind of analytical ability that comes from the study of logic, grammar, and foreign languages, and the kind of imagination that sees possibilities where none existed before. As you leave this place, you join an august company of more than 141,000 Emory alumni spread throughout the world. We are honored today to have with us a special band of those alumni who have demonstrated in their lives and in their careers the legacy of virtue and knowledge. That same legacy bequeathed to you. The Corpus Cordis Aureum, Latin for golden corpse of the heart. Clad in golden robes with special commissioned medallions, these alumni are members of the 50th reunion class, as well as classes that graduated from Emory prior to 1967. Ladies and gentlemen of the Corpus Cordis Aureum, would you please stand and allow us to recognize and appreciate you. Thank you. I meant to apologize for calling you out because you all look so young. You don't look like you graduated that early. You may be interested in knowing a few facts about yourselves, the graduates. 4,700 degrees and certificates will be conferred this day. 40% of these to men, 60% to women. "51 states are represented by our graduates. 960 of today's graduates come from 69 foreign nations, all of whose flags stand on display at the either end of the quadrangle. "27 of you are service veterans. Thank you for your service. Now let's talk a little bit about age, a little bit more. 51 of our degree recipients are over 50 years of age. The youngest candidate to complete a bachelor's degree this year is 19 years old. The oldest bachelor's degree candidate is 56. Now listen to this. The oldest degree candidate overall is 70 years old, receiving an MBA. All of you graduates, your exuberance makes us feel young this day. Students who have garnered honors and prizes are listed on pages 35 through 48 of your programs. On page 34 is a list of those students who merit special attention by having earned 2 degrees simultaneously. 2 degrees simultaneously. A bachelor's and a master's degree, 2 master's degrees, or a master's and a doctoral degree during their time at Emory. Would the 78 recipients of these simultaneous degrees please stand? And would you all join me in congratulating these and all the winners of honors and prizes? Please stand. Representing the many honors garnered by outstanding students and faculty members, 4 university-wide honors will be presented at this ceremony. Details of the accomplishments of these 4 special award winners can be found starting on page 4 of your program. Symbolic of all honors bestowed on students by the university, the Marian Britton Award is an expression of gratitude for service performed without expectation of reward or recognition. There are 2 such awards presented, one recognizing an undergraduate and one recognizing a graduate student. To present these awards, I call on the Senior Vice President and Dean of Campus Life, Jay Nair.
Thank you, President Stirk. Good morning, class of 2017. Good morning. It gives me great pleasure to present the Undergraduate 2017 Marian Luther Britton Award to Kaitlin Poza. Would Kaitlin's family please stand to be recognized with her? A graduating senior in the college, majoring in English and psychology, Kaitlin has been an engaged scholar, human rights advocate, and campus leader during her time at Emory. As a sophomore, she interned with an international human rights firm, deepening her interest and devotion to understanding the human condition. She turned knowledge and passion into action on campus by seeking to increase awareness of international religious persecution. Working with Emory's Center of Theology, she facilitated interfaith debate and discussion to increase tolerance, compassion, and understanding. Kaitlin served as the president of the Catholic Student Union and as editor-in-chief for the International Affairs Journal, the Emory Globe. Through these roles, she aimed to unite people across different ecumenical and interfaith boundaries, shining a light on the importance of religious freedom. Congratulations, Kaitlin. It gives me great pleasure to also present the Graduate 2017 Marian Luther Britton Award to Jared Greenbaum. Would Jared's family please stand to be recognized with him? An MBA candidate in the Guazetta Business School, Jared embodies Guazetta's core values. As Graduate Student Government Association president, Jared led the Student Government Association restructure. This comprehensive plan created 2 equal and autonomous governing bodies, an undertaking that sought to modernize a decades-old student government structure. As part of this process, Jared conducted a listening tour throughout the Emory community to discuss the implications of bifurcation. He developed a strategic implementation plan that helped Emory's 7,800 undergraduate and 7,200 graduate students usher in a pivotal moment in student government history. 91% of students voted in favor of this historic restructure. Jared has also served as business representative to SGA, an MBA admissions ambassador, a graduate business association vice president, and a Delta Leadership Coaching Fellow, as well as being a teaching assistant. Congratulations, Jared.
The University Scholar Teacher Award gratefully acknowledges the long and patient work of a member of the Emory community who is on the faculty. To present that award, I call on Interim Provost Stuart Zola. As Provost Zola comes forward, would previous winner of this honor please stand to be recognized? Please stand if you received the University Scholar Teacher Award.
Madam President, it gives me great pleasure to present the 2017 Scholar Teacher Award to Carol Anderson, Chair of the Department of African American Studies and Charles Howard Candler Professor of African American Studies in Emory College. You can applaud again. Professor Anderson has achieved international renown for her work as a historian of diplomatic history, human and civil rights history, and the history of the Atlantic world. Her first book, Eyes Off the Prize, The United Nations and the African American Struggle for Human Rights, 1944 to 1955, won 2 book prizes. Her second book, Bourgeois Radicals, the NAACP and the Struggle for Colonial Liberation, 1941 to 1960, is generating similar acclaim. A respected public intellectual, Anderson published a landmark op-ed in the Washington Post titled White Rage. It was the paper's most shared article for 2014, and it galvanized national conversation in the wake of police shootings across our nation. A book followed. White Rage, The Unspoken Truth of Our Racial Divide, has gained the attention of the nation. Anderson's rigorous and prescient scholarship blends with a teaching style that is passionate and challenging. A strong mentor and teacher, Anderson's influence on her students is clear in the numerous teaching awards she has received and testimonials from students inspired by the high bar she has set. A committed citizen of Emory, she serves on countless Emory College and university committees, including co-chairing the search for Emory's next provost. It is with great pleasure that I present the United Methodist Church University Scholar Teacher Award to Professor Carol Anderson. Congratulations.
The Thomas Jefferson Award is Emory's premier recognition for service to the university by a member of the faculty or administration. To present this award, I call on Vice President and Secretary of the University, Allison Dykes. As Vice President Dykes comes forward, would previous winners of the Thomas Jefferson Award please stand to be recognized?
Thank you, Madam President. It gives me great pleasure to present the 2017 Thomas Jefferson Award to Carol J. Rowland Hogue, Jules and Oldine Terry Professor of Maternal and Child Health and Professor of Epidemiology in the Rollins School of Public Health. A lifelong passion has driven Carol Hogue to prepare the best possible scientists to improve the health of women and children and to eliminate the health inequities that lead minority women and children to die prematurely. She pioneered the first epidemiologic surveillance of maternal morbidities and innovative research on racial disparities in preterm delivery. At Rollins, she was named to the first endowed professorship, where she established and has led the Women's and Children's Center for the past 25 years. Her contributions to Emory's intellectual and civic life are legion. She was a member of the Templeton Foundation-sponsored Faculty Dialogues on Science and Religion, a Gustafson Scholar, and a Senior Fellow of the Emory Center for the Study of Law and Religion. Holding joint appointments in the School of Medicine, Emory College, and Rollins, Hogue has served on Emory's Faculty Council, the Provost's Faculty Advisory Committee, and the Faculty Advisory Committee of the Laney Graduate School. For these and so many more reasons, Emory is pleased to bestow on Professor Hogue the 2017 Thomas Jefferson Award. Congratulations.
It is now my privilege to present John Morgan, Oxford College class of 1967. That's a special year this year. School of Business class of 1969, and chair of Emory's Board of Trustees, to authorize the Conferral of Degrees.
President Stirk, esteemed members of the university faculty, and distinguished guests, on behalf of the trustees of Emory University, I take great pleasure in accepting the recommendations of the president and the faculty of Emory University. Madam President, as chair of the Board of Trustees, I authorize you to confer degrees upon the 2017 graduates, together with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. This morning, we are honored to have on this platform 4 special guests who have distinguished themselves in the fields of history, anthropology, epidemiology, and poetry. You will find brief biographies of these eminent individuals on pages 6 and 7 of the commencement program. Before we confer the degrees in course, it is our privilege this morning to present Emory's highest honor, the doctoral degree honoris causa. Dean Michael Elliott, will you present our first honored guest? Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to place the name of Taylor Branch in candidacy for the degree of Doctor of Letters.
Taylor Branch, historian, journalist, son of Atlanta. In 3 magisterial volumes, you relate the unrelenting struggle of our nation to redeem our high ideal of justice for all. Through prose that often soars and sometimes mourns, while always probing for knowledge and moral insight, you call to memory an era of extraordinary transformation in the American experiment and teach new generations the imperative of perpetually championing truth. You remind us that all politics is built upon a foundation framed by ethical vision. Your vivid evocation of the aspiring soul encumbered by the frailty of society calls forth our own desire for a greater common good. For extraordinary achievement in history, we confer on you the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa. Congratulations. Okay. Dean Lisa Tedesco, will you present our second honored guest?
Madam President.
Madam Dean.
I have the great honor to present to you Dr. Sarah Blaffer Hurdy to receive the degree Doctor of Science.
Sarah Blaffer Hurdy, anthropologist, author, teacher. With wisdom born of immense curiosity and nurtured by exhaustive research, you plumb the resources, the sources of generative care, and the interstices of stable communities to debunk assumptions with courage and grace. Mother, grandmother, and caregiver of the earth, you have devoted decades to study the ways in which maternity, paternity, and community intertwine, diverge, compete, and cooperate. Your elegant prose conveys the liveliness of your rich imagination and immense learning, gifting your readers with new understanding of our complex, mysterious, and often baffling species. As we recognize more than ever that human survival depends upon our capacity to come together, we are grateful for your lifetime of lessons and confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Dean James Curran, will you present our third honored guest?
Madam President.
Mr. Dean.
If I were tall enough, I'd have the great honor to present to you for the honorary degree of Doctor of Science, Dr. Klaus Tingvall.
Klaus Tingvall, visionary engineer and safety advocate. Cognizant of avoidable highway mayhem, you systematically reframe traditional narratives and build compelling evidence for mapping the way toward reducing the epidemic of traffic injuries. Through Vision Zero, you led your native Sweden to become a bold, exemplary model for the world. A planet crossed by ever more congested roads and streets and thoroughfares will benefit from your diligence and guidance. We at Emory laud your collaboration with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and our affiliated Task Force for Global Health. For both your life-saving vision and your skill in making it reality, we gratefully confer on you the degree of Doctor of Science, honoris causa. Provost Sola, will you present our fourth honored guest?
Yeah. Madam President,
Mr. Provost,
I have the great honor to present Natasha Trethewey to receive the degree of Doctor of Letters.
Natasha Trethewey, poet and professor, invoking the magic of Clio and Calliope, these muses, each of history and eloquence, you fashion a life's work that makes accessible the pain and majesty of ancestors, the ghosts of history. Lives have forgotten except for archives, legacies, and courage to recall and to speak. Music voiced and beauty visioned, you transmute the mundane thing, the flower, the window, the bowl of fruit, into an object of sacramental healing. You inspire continued striving toward the redemption of the past for which we yearn, while tending to the veracities of our present. You teach our finer selves to find strength in lyric and elegy. For the grace and power of your speaking, writing, and teaching, we confer on you the degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa. At this time, I would like to ask Professor Trethewey, now Dr. Trethewey, to deliver the keynote address.
Greetings, President Stirk, trustees, esteemed colleagues, parents, family, friends, and the graduating class of 2017. It is a great honor to address you today because I, like you, am moving on from a place I have known and loved for years. I have made friendships and an intellectual community that I will cherish the rest of my life. For me, as for you, it is time to face new challenges, to continue to grow. There was a time I could never have imagined that I would be here in this city I grew up in, which is for me a place of personal trauma and great loss. In 1985, when I left, I could not have anticipated that anything would draw me back to this geography that holds at every turn a reminder of a past I was determined to forget. I'd thought I could simply run away from it and distance myself from the history that bound me to this place. What drew me back was Emory. On a conscious level, I chose it for many of the same reasons you must have. Emory is a place of rigorous intellectual pursuits and deeply enriching and transformative creative and artistic ones. And for me, it was a great job, an opportunity to work with you, the best students, and a deeply engaged faculty, staff, and administration, and to build a creative writing program that is among the best in the nation. But being here has been more than just a job for me. It has transformed me. After a decade and a half of teaching at Emory, having tried to circumscribe my life, creating a boundary I would not cross, I recently went back for the first time to the place my mother was murdered, just over 5 miles away from where I now stand. Getting there took me 30 years, and though I did not know it at first, it was a journey that begins here, As the poet Mark Doty has said, our metaphors go on ahead of us. That is, the stories we tell ourselves, the roots of our meaning-making, the deeply ingrained narratives that drive us are always out there to be confronted and challenged, to be grappled with in an ongoing pursuit of knowledge. And so it is the subconscious I want to consider first, and where it can lead us if we are willing to do the necessary work of critical self-reflection, of leading an examined life, and nurturing the capacity for empathy. Let me put it like this. When I arrived here in the fall of 2001, I began writing poems about my mother, poems that would become part of my book, Native Guard, though I did not know that then. I thought they were private reflections I needed to write because I was still grieving. I was approaching the age at which I would have lived as many years with her as without her. I was not trying to write those poems. Indeed, I was trying on a conscious level to avoid writing them. There were places around the city I would not go, places I would go out of my way to circumvent, places that could bring the memory of those difficult years back to me. Even if I could avoid them, a song on the radio from those years, a song my mother had loved, would make me weep, and I'd have to pull over to the side of the road. No matter how I tried to avoid the past, it kept finding me, inserting itself into my daily life. One day I was jogging in the graveyard near my house, Decatur Cemetery, which has a section devoted to Confederate soldiers. For my book, I had been researching a regiment of Black Union soldiers for whom no monuments had been erected at the place in my hometown where they had served, whose important contributions to American history were not included in the textbooks from which we were taught in school. They had been forgotten, erased from the monumental landscape, buried in the recesses of our collective history. I thought I simply wanted to know more about that history and how it helped to shape our nation, and to tell that story, to unearth it. As I ran past the Confederate graves, I couldn't help reading and speaking aloud all of their names, as if they too were demanding of me that I remember them. And so, as I headed toward home, I thought I'd write a poem about them. But what came out instead was a poem about the day I buried my mother. It ended with this couplet about being in the graveyard. I wander now among names of the dead, my mother's name, stone pillow for my head. I was trying to convey the idea that if you were grieving or missing a loved one, you could go to the cemetery and lay your head against her name on the gravestone, a kind of cold comfort. But the fact was, my mother had no stone. And in that moment, having written a beautiful lie, I had to confront an uncomfortable truth about myself, that I had erased her from the monumental landscape, that because of me, she lay in the ground unmarked, not properly memorialized, like all those Black soldiers whose stories I was trying to tell. Because I could not think of a way to inscribe her name, because the name she had when she died was still the name of her ex-husband, her murderer, a troubled Vietnam veteran with a history of mental illness, a man who had been my stepfather for 10 difficult years. I had never put her name on a stone above her grave where someone passing by it might read and be compelled to speak her name aloud. You see, it had never occurred to me that I could inscribe her maiden name, the person she had been when she entered this life. It was a failure of the imagination. Though my act of erasure had been unintentional rather than an intentional erasure, as in the case of those Black soldiers, the metaphor was there. The indictment that I had leveled against my nation for our collective forgetting, our national amnesia about our shared history of the participation of African Americans in the Civil War, was, on a deeper figurative level, an indictment against myself for not properly remembering my own mother, our personal history. We make of the quarrel with others rhetoric, wrote William Butler Yeats, but of the quarrel with ourselves, poetry. My metaphor had gone on ahead of me. Had I not returned to this place, I might not have done the work of self-reflection, might not have followed the difficult path towards self-awareness, the critical examination of my own blindness and willed forgetting. But that was a beginning. I had begun, through an ongoing pursuit of knowledge, to unearth what lay buried in the recesses, to become, as poet Adrienne Rich put it, consciously historical. That is, a person who tries for memory and connectedness against amnesia and nostalgia, who tries to describe her or his journeys as accurately as possible. I had begun on a deeper level to quarrel with myself. Not long after that day in the graveyard, I was perusing the stacks at the library. As I walked along the rows, the bright yellow spine of a book caught my attention. It had on it a rendering of a deerstalker cap, like the one Sherlock Holmes wore, and a magnifying glass. The title of the book was The Historian as Detective. Opening it, I was struck by the titles of 3 essays in the table of contents, and I had to write them down. They speak to me now as emblematic of advice for the journey I am proposing for you today. 1, on believing what one reads. The critical thinking skills you've honed during your time here are even more crucial now with the proliferation of websites publishing fraudulent information in order to sway the minds of people not willing to do the work of critical thinking. People who would rather simply believe anything that affirms their own assumptions, that does not challenge their deeply ingrained and unexamined notions about the world. Don't be ignorant of history, fooled by the false narratives of those who lie about the past for their own gains. Don't squander the years you spent here by becoming complacent as a reader and not challenging your own assumptions as well as the unsubstantiated claims of others. Ask questions. Remember the primacy of evidence. 2, what is evidence? I don't need to tell you. At Emory, you have spent years considering the nature of evidence. You have learned how to discern the difference between worthy sources of information and fake ones, to seek multiple sources, to fact check, to hold yourself to the highest standards of truth-seeking, even when you were confronted with information that you did not like, even when a difficult truth, substantiated by evidence, demands that you rethink what you thought you knew and changes how you must see yourself, history, the world, and your place in it. 3, on the pleasures of doubt. Ignorance is not knowing how much you do not know, wallowing in certitude, its muddy, amnesiac waters. The person who revels in the pleasures of doubt knows what she does not know, is humbled by it and invigorated, compelled to pursue knowledge not simply as an end, but as a means for the ongoing enlightenment of the soul. Having no doubt means you question nothing, least of all your own assumptions. This journey, this ongoing pursuit of knowledge I am suggesting, isn't simply a knowledge of facts, not just an intellectual knowledge, but an emotional knowledge in which one's ability to practice empathy is wisdom. Remember our Emory motto, "The wise heart seeks knowledge." One might reasonably ask, in tumultuous times such as our own, when mendacity is rewarded, when anti-intellectualism is promoted as a populist value, when propaganda is portrayed as truth and anything that counters it despite evidence is called fake news, when anger is used as an opiate for the masses, giving rise to increasingly visible and mainstream forms of white nationalism, homophobia and transphobia, the empowerment of white supremacists, misogynists, anti-Semites, xenophobes, the whole range of unempathetic, anti-other sensibilities, when these things are accepted, even welcomed by a great segment of the population as the new normal, why would any commencement speech that addresses the need for the ongoing pursuit of knowledge, for justice, empathy, truth, for the ethical treatment of others, for a deep self-awareness, critical thinking, for leading the examined life, all the cliches inspired by occasions such as this, why would such an address be worth making? Why would these values still be worth aspiring to if the highest levels of professional success can be achieved without them? On the most basic level, you might just save yourself from being, in the words of Atlanta rapper T.I., from his song with Rihanna, unhappy with your riches 'cause you're piss poor morally. And I would argue that we are living in a time in which the old cliches have been given new urgency, a life or death urgency, and we need the practical implementation of them now more than ever. It is to be remembered they weren't always trite, empty of implicit value, the kind of platitudes you find in a self-help book on how to reach career success. Instead, they might have spoken to the better angels of our nature. Even worn-out metaphors were once new, describing something in a fresh way, connecting us through the shared experience of language. Consider that magnifying glass and the way glass can go from refracting light, allowing you to see through it, to reflecting light, as when at night you look into a darkened window and see your own reflection. The magnifying glass can become a mirror, a way to turn your critical eye in the pursuit of knowledge towards self-knowledge, emotional maturity, the ennobling of your soul. Class of 2017, when you leave here today, continue the work to ennoble your soul. Find a way to live in the world that, by your actions, serves the greater good. Always do the work of empathy. See yourself in others, in their need for justice, mercy, sanctuary. See your own need for justice, mercy, sanctuary. Do not believe you are above it all, choosing to ignore the horrors and injustices happening around you. Do not accept the disfiguring of your own soul by believing you are not affected by what is happening in the lives of people whose lives matter just as much as your own. It might be difficult to put the needs of others, of those less fortunate than yourselves, ahead of your own, but it is the noble thing to do. It might be difficult to confront the limitations of your own beliefs, to challenge your own racist or xenophobic or homophobic or classist or sexist notions, but it is the noble thing to do. Are you going to be morally and civically noble, or are you going to let willed ignorance and self-imposed amnesia shield you from the highest responsibilities of human decency and kindness and empathy? Are you going to take the easy road, placating yourself with easily digestible untruths, Or are you going to take the high, hard road to self-knowledge, moral and spiritual enlightenment? You have a choice to be consciously historical. In a poem by my late father, poet Eric Trethewey, he poses this question: why are we not better than we are? In that lovely line is the acknowledgement of the truth of our condition, that we are flawed. But by asking that question of our individual and collective selves, beginning and continuing to quarrel with ourselves, we can rise above the empty rhetoric of self-interest and self-aggrandizement that characterizes our troubled national moment and make of ourselves, the way we lead our lives, poetry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Natasha. And now we come to the Conferral of Degrees in course. The deans will present their candidates for degrees in the order in which the schools of the university were founded, with 2 exceptions. The graduate school will have pride of place at the end to connote the highest degree awarded in course, the Doctor of Philosophy degree. And the degrees awarded to this year's graduates of Oxford College were awarded 2 days ago in Oxford, Georgia. Would previous graduates, hold on a second, would previous graduates of Oxford College please stand so that we may recognize them? Thank you. You may be seated. Dean Elliott, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
With pleasure. Will the faculty of Emory College of Arts and Sciences please rise, and will the student marshals come forward? Madam President, I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Arts and Bachelor of Sciences. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences.
You are heirs to a tradition of academic apprenticeship reaching back more than 800 years, and you have proven yourselves worthy of that tradition. I hereby confer your baccalaureate degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Stevens, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
With great pleasure. Will the faculty of the School of Medicine please rise, and will the student marshals come forward? Madam President,
Mr. Dean,
I have the honor to present candidates for the degrees of Bachelor of Medical Science, Master of Medical Science, Doctor of Physical Therapy, and Doctor of Medicine. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of the School of Medicine.
Trained in the healing arts, you have demonstrated proficiency in science and technologies that serve humanity. Shortly, you will assume responsibility for all who commit their health and lives to your knowledge. I hereby confer your medical degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. You may be seated. Dean McCauley, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Nell Hudson Woodruff School of Nursing please rise? And will the student marshals come forward? Madam President.
Madam Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Nursing, Master of Science in Nursing, and Doctor of Nursing Practice. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for the appropriate degrees by the faculty of the School of Nursing.
Your profession offers the highest commitment to care of the whole person in the midst of changing demands of healthcare. I hereby confer your nursing degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Love, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Madam President.
Madam Dean.
Will the faculty of the Candler School of Theology please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Master of Religious Leadership, Master of Theological Studies, Master of Theology, Master of Divinity, Doctor of Divinity, and Doctor of Theology. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of Candler School of Theology.
You have learned to probe spiritual mysteries, to minister to the often intractable spiritual ills that afflict individuals and society, to exercise pastoral leadership and healing discernment, and to offer a message of love, peace, joy, and hope. I hereby confer your theology degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Shapiro, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the School of Law please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? Madam President.
Mr. Dean.
I have the great honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Doctor of Juridical Science, Doctor of Law, Juris Master, Master of Laws, and Master of Comparative Law. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the School of Law.
As civilization rests on a foundation of justice, you bear the obligation to establish justice even more firmly among us. I hereby confer you law degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. As civilization rests on a foundation of justice, you bear the obligation to establish justice even more firmly among us. Did anybody notice that I just said what I'd said before? That means you're still with us. Dean James, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Roberto C. Goizueta Business School please rise, and will the student marshals please come forward? Madam President,
Madam Dean,
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degree of Business Administration, Bachelor of Business Administration, for the degree of Master of Business Administration, and Master of Professional Accounting. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Roberto C. Goizueta Business School.
Accomplished in the language of trade, finance, and management, you were charged to go forth to accomplish the world's business with integrity as well as skill, fostering greater understanding among all peoples, as the commerce of nation brings us in touch with what is different and new. I hereby confer your business degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Curran, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
Will the faculty of the Rollins School of Public Health please rise? And will the student marshals please come forward? Madam President.
Mr. Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees of Masters of Public Health and Master of Science of Public Health. Will the candidates please rapidly rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Rollins School of Public Health.
As you address the endemic ills and epidemic diseases of our communities, you join men and women who have devoted their life to making a healthier society. I hereby confer upon you your respective degrees with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Dean Tedesco, will you present your candidates for degrees in course?
With pleasure.
Will the faculty of the James T. Laney School of Graduate Studies please rise, and will the student marshals come forward? Madam President.
Madam Dean.
I have the honor to present the candidates for the degrees Master of Arts, Master of Development Practice, Master of Music, Master of Sacred Music, and Master of Science. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and are recommended for their respective degrees by the faculty of the Laney Graduate School.
You have earned the recognition of masterful achievement as scholars or practitioners in your fields. Whatever your careers may be, I hereby confer upon each of you the appropriate degree with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations.
Madam President.
Madam Dean.
I have the additional distinct honor to present the extraordinarily well-prepared candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Will the candidates please rise? These candidates have successfully completed their course of study and their dissertations, and are recommended for their degrees by the faculty of the Laney Graduate School.
You have attained the highest degree awarded in course. I take great pride and pleasure in welcoming you to the ancient and honorable company of scholars, and I hereby confer upon each of you your doctoral degree with all appropriate rights, honors, privileges, and responsibilities. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Emory University Class of 2017. Great congratulations to you all. We will be watching what you will be doing next. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce Kim Tyson-Givney, Oxford College Class of 2002 and Grazetta Business School Class of 2004, and President of the Emory Alumni Association. Kim, please join me.
Distinguished graduates, as president of the Emory Alumni Association, I have the privilege of welcoming you formally to the ranks of alumni of this great university. While your cherished status as students may have ended all too quickly, you each will bear the title of alumnus or alumna for the rest of your lives. Today, you join a dynamic group of men and women more than 141,000 strong. Would everyone in the audience who is an alumnus or alumna of Emory University, except for today's graduates, please stand and be recognized. Thank you. Please be seated. And now, with the class of 2017, please stand to be recognized as Emory's newest alumni. Class of 2017, we hope that you, like your fellow alumni, will maintain ties to Emory, will help build its future, and will always feel at home here. As your colleagues, we know that the university has imparted values as well as knowledge, and we look forward to witnessing the leadership you provide in the communities of your choice. Wherever you go, you will always be a part of the Emory community and will take a little of Emory with you. As you make your mark in the world, stay in touch, stay involved, visit often, and let us hear from you. We wish you well and congratulations.
Thank you, Kim. And you knew you could all be seated. Graduates, as you prepare to depart from this place for the time being, please cherish the memory of those who have worked so hard to help you on your way. Would all faculty and staff stand so that the graduates may salute you for the knowledge that you have given them and the tremendous work that you have done. There is one more group present today that deserves a moment of recognition. Will all of the parents, grandparents, caretakers, partners, spouses, and children of today's graduates please stand so that the graduates may salute you for your love, support, and guidance. And now comes the time to commence. I would like to mark this commencement with an excerpt of The Cure of Troy by Seamus Heaney, whose papers are in Emory's Stuart A. Rose Library. History says, don't hope on this side of the grave, but then, once in a lifetime, the longed-for tidal wave of justice can rise up, and hope and history rhyme. So hope for a great sea change on the far side of revenge. Believe that a further shore is reachable from here. Believe in miracles and cures and healing wells. Here you are before me today, Emory change-making alumni. You are the tidal wave for justice. You are the ambassadors of this university. I ask that you use all you have learned and all you have become. We send you, the alumni of the class of 2017, forth to do good in this world, to leave you a mark on serving humanity. I am grateful for your enduring impact on Emory and for your ongoing engagement. I wish you health, happiness, ongoing personal growth, as you continue your journey and lead the world in small and big ways. You instill an optimism in all of us. Godspeed. And now let us rise to receive the benedictions.
Yanasha sarva bhutana tasya jagarti sanyami yasya jagarti bhutani sanasha pashatta mana.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Omer, Al Shlosha Devarim Haolam Omed, Al Hadin, Ve'al Ha'emet, Ve'al HaShalom, Shene'emar, Emet u'mishpat Shalom shiftu b'sharechem.
อุทานาวโตสติมโตสุจิกมัสสะนิสัมมกาลิโนสัญญาตัสสะจะธรรมชิวิโนอัปปมัตตัสสะยะโสพิวัตติอุทาเนนัปปมาเทนะสัญญเมนะทเมนะจะทีปังกยิลาถะเมทาวียังโอโคนาภิกีลติ
May God the Father prepare your journey. Jesus the Son watch your footsteps, and the Spirit of life strengthen you. The Three-in-One watch over you on every road that you may follow. Amen.
Please continue to stand for the singing of Emory's Alma Mater by a special commencement a cappella quartet. The lyrics are printed on the first page of your program.
Of dear old Emory, where the sun doth shine, that is where our hearts are turning round old Emory's shrine. Praises, sons and daughters true. Hail we now our alma mater. Hail the gold and blue. Dum dum dum. Though the years around us gather, crowned with love and cheer, still the memory of old Emory grows to us more dear. We will ever sing thy praises, sons and daughters true. Hail we now our alma mater, hail the gold and blue. We will ever sing thy praises and daughters true. Hail we now our alma mater. Hail the gold and blue.
Thank you. Would the new graduates of Emory College of Arts and Sciences please be seated? Would all families and guests be seated as the faculty and non-college graduates march to the respective diploma ceremonies? Those ceremonies will begin at the times and locations indicated on page 7 of the program. Once the graduates have departed, the gates in the seating aisles will open for those Emory College family members wishing to move to closer seats. Please allow those family members leaving the quadrangle a lane in the aisle to pass by, and please wait patiently until the gates are opened before slowly walking to new seats. Clear the way, let the recessional begin.